Hi everybody, it's Lace, and I'm here in Diamond Fields as always. Usually when I'm doing a purely tutorial thing, I'll put the sodahelp.org tag in the bottom right, and when it's a self-interest thing, I'll put the Prism tag. This one's kind of both, and I just didn't switch it back to the Soda Help. The first thing we're going to cover is something that should be a helpful tip for everybody, and that's about how you can check what's on your vendor without going and looking physically at your vendor. This was kind of snuck in. It wasn't really displayed in any of the patch notes, but it's super handy. If you guys remember way on back, when something sold, we'd see a little message, depending on how you had your tab set up and stuff. You could see who bought it, when it was sold, when you were live in the game and stuff. And you would have to go to the bank, wherever your merchant was, where your personal vendor was, to pick up that money. With the mail system, they've made it really nice for us. We don't have to make the rounds collecting our money. We only have to make the rounds to stock our vendors. And you can go to a mailbox and grab, you know, not only the money that's collected, but you also get a sales receipt, lets you know who bought it, how much they paid for, and what date they bought it. Also, one other thing to mention is this applies to, the public vendors or your private vendors. You can pick this money up and stuff. Also, I had to turn down some of those sound effects because my little merchants here were all humming and hawing and sighing and stuff. And it almost made it sound like there was something weird going on in my house. I swear it wasn't me. It was the NPCs. So we turned that down. Anyway, getting back to the point of this, we're going to go to the banker, and I'm going to be able to see everything I have listed for sale everywhere that I have merchants. Now, I have a few lots, and so I have a few, commission-free vendors that I'm selling stuff in. But you could go around to every NPC town. Let's say Owl's Head, or Doris, Exeter, Brittany Alleys, all the Brittany's, and go to each public vendor, and you can list things in each one. Now, again, we've covered this in other videos. When you list stuff on a public vendor, you get charged a fee. When you buy a non-commission vendor, which are 20,000, I've again covered it in a video, you can put that on your lot, and you have to pay a fee to list. But any of these means, right now, the way the system's set up is it all comes back to your mailbox, and you don't have to have a mailbox on your lot. You don't even have to own land. You can go to a mailbox at any bank to check your mail and collect your fees. Or if you have a lot, you can put a mailbox on your lot. And, there's two kinds. The kind that goes on the side of the house and one on the door. I guess I could show one real quickly here just to show what they look like, because I haven't really covered the mailboxes, but that's just a little wall hanging mailbox. I can click on that and collect my money from my sales, and again, no matter where that sale was. I do have a couple locations that I sell from my commission free vendors, which you can obtain either from, and I don't want to make this sound like it's pay to win, but if you back the game early on, or if you buy one of the bundles, I think it's a village size bundle it takes to get one, you'll get a commission free vendor that will go with your bundle. Not pay to win, because you can buy a vendor for 20k gold in game. You just have to pay a little tax every item you list. So you want to make you want to make sure that you're not listing things overpriced, because then you got to take it down and repay again. And again, I've covered this in another video. So, trying to get us back on track, how can I see what my vendors have? The way I used to do it is I'd go to the bank and I'd look at my sales and I'd go, okay, I need to make this, this, and this, and this to restock the vendor. That was one way to do it. And I'd take a screenshot and maybe collect my money or not collect my money. So I had a record of the things that I hadn't restocked, so I, could keep a nice, easy working list of what I needed to restock. With the mail system, because we get the receipt, that's another way. You can hold the receipts in a certain, trunk, chest, or whatever of the things you need to restock, and then, get rid of the ones that you've already made and stuff like that. In addition, here's a third way that you can keep your vendors stocked, and maybe even find gaps in your vendor just because it didn't sell. Maybe you hadn't made it. And this is what I'm going to show you now. So I've opened my bank and I saved us a loading time because there's a lot of crap in my bank, things that I haven't claimed and stuff like that. And no, I'm not rich, but I just have a lot of crap. Anyway, the point of this is how can I tell what I have on my vendors? Well, I'm going to go up here to this menu and I'm clicking this little blue, looks like settings icon. When we see it in other places, like in chat tabs, you can see it there. It's the same little icon for that, and that's the question mark. So I'm clicking that and I can say locate player vendor items. Locate items that you have listed for sale on player owned vendors. So there we go. So now I can see everything that I have listed everywhere. And it's going to take a while to load because I have several vendors. um, Here it comes. It's coming. I didn't preload this. I just preloaded the bank. I probably should have preloaded both, but I wanted to show what's going on. So I can sort by item name or vendor location. The only thing I would ask for is probably a way to filter. Right now I just opened a music store and I'll get into that later, so we're just going to skip through all that stuff. But I can see, like, if I'm focusing, trying to focus, do an armor run, or if I'm doing a carpentry run, I can see everything I have listed and where it's for sale. I get a lot of tells from people sometimes. They go, hey, do you have any copper chainmail somewhere? Because they know I have multiple vendors. And I used to be like, I'm not certain. It just depends on where I was at. I could check that one vendor by physically clicking on them. But now I can go to a bank and I can look and see, what was I saying? Chain, copper chain. There we go. So I can say, yeah, I've got some plus 10, plus 9. I've got some boots. I've got some armor. I got some gloves. I got some leggings. And I got some helms. Now, they're in different locations. So I can say, hey, there's this. And I can tell them what stats they have. Because I can mouse over it and I can see the stats of the item. So I can tell them exactly what I have for sale. And if they're looking for a specific piece, I can point them to my vendor on stuff. And you're going to find me doing this a lot. A lot of people will ask you, hey, can you make me a set of armor with this stat, and that stat? Well, that's pretty much, I'm never going to take that. I'm never going to take anyone's request for that because the odds of getting exactly what they want are pretty pretty small based on the way the system is. We have no control on the rolls of what comes in. You could be a grandmaster and you still get stuff that it's minus 10 durability for plus 3 or 6 depending on the type of gear. We have no control of that. We might get a plus 5 minus 5 durability that's a 1.6 or 1.7 or something dex or it. So trying to make a custom set of armor is damn near impossible, and I just won't do it because it's just a huge waste of my time. Trying to make you one set of custom armor, I'm going to end up making 4 sets that I can sell to other people. So you can't pay me enough to make you a custom set of armor, is what I'm saying. Some people will do it. I can't because it's just too much time, and gotta work. I gotta pay the bills and stuff. But anyway, what I was trying to, the whole point of this is I can see everything that I have listed in the entire world and where it's listed. And so when people ask me, hey, do you have any of this or that or the other, already made up, I can point them to where my stuff is. And I think this will help a lot of folks that have more than one vendor. Even if you just have one vendor and you craft in a different location than when your vendor is, this will help you, you know, stock your vendor when you're away from home. Perfect example is when we have our crafting fairs, the mentoring fairs once a month. You're in Diamond Fields, your vendor's probably not here because you're mentoring under me, but you can run to the bank and say, oh, I should make some of this. Oh, I should focus on that. Or, oh, I need to make some gear with this. And you can verify if it's sold or not sold by doing this, by just going to the bank. And again, for the crafting fairs, it's right in front of the pavilion. There's also one at the Zone In docks. But anyway, I really hope this helps everybody, you know, find better ways to stock their vendors. They can see what's moving, what's not moving, and you don't have to go to each vendor and keep a record of it. And by the way, it was somebody at one of the crafting events, not this month, but last month in June, that pointed me to this tip. And I'm sorry I can't give you credit because I can't remember who told me because I had never hit that button and hadn't even noticed that this was available. This is awesome. I love this. So next weekend's my birthday weekend and Comic Con in Tampa. I know it's not as big as San Diego, but it is something I'm attending, so I'm not going to be around, and that's why I'm dressed in my party gear. This is what I usually wear to the release parties and stuff. Uh, I think one of the things that's supposed to be coming out is the rental system. I think it's next release. I'm not certain. I think that's what they said, but they had released the homes, and a lot of people had said, "Hey, is the Viking one, the Viking Village home that was, basically designed for rentals out?" Or and there's one other. Well, this is the Viking Village home, and I'm just going to give you a quick tour. We put ours up near the Zone Inn. And again, you can see this is where we have our fishing derbies. That's where we have our poker tourneys, and we put it in a pretty good place for rentals for anybody like, let's say, the miners, because we're pretty close to Elysium Mines. If they want to have a place to go dump their stuff, dump their gear, dump their stuff that they're not dealing with right away, and they just want to do quick changes. That's kind of why this is here. It's also right by the devotionals. We're gonna have to move those around because when I'd first done this, this property was vacant, and I had arranged these in a certain way to fit the lay of the land. So we'll probably arrange them a little bit differently. We'll keep the signs up to tell you which, devotionals give what and stuff like that we have. I can't see a sign here. Let's see. Let's go right around here real quick. But yeah, we have signs that tell you, group by three, which one does what. So again, the rental area that will be opening up in Diamond Fields, very convenient from the Zone Inn. We're not an overland POT, we're a sub POT. And that's something I've covered in another video is if you're grouped with somebody that's inside a sub POT and you're on the overland map, if you click the shield on the overland map, you'll zone in. You don't have to go through two zone ins. At least I think I covered that. If not, I will be putting that in a video as well. The plan here is, we just want foot traffic, just like every POT. We've got, our vendor rows on the row houses. We've got ours along the shore, but not really anybody has any vendors up on them. But secondary to this is, part of the town design is we're going to have village and townhomes that line up down that way, and there's 3 rows of those. And then we move back to the North Shore, which also is laid out in a way to make shopping easy and stuff. And we'll put NPCs there for those folks living there. Now, some folks that have the inns for rent or rent parts of their basements, because I believe the way the system is going to work is that, even if I just had a regular house like this house over here or this house over here, I could put a basement in and I could rent out the rooms in the basement provided they had a door. I believe that's how it's going to work. But in addition, they had created this home, and this is the Viking Village Inn. I think it's pretty cool. I mean, it's got some really nice floors. Look at these floors. This would be a great home just to live in, but the main part of it is having the rooms. So there's a room there, and I think we're going to put some stalls in, kind of make that the common bathroom and stuff. We'll probably put a bar in here, a piano and stuff, and this is like a common room. I guess somebody can live under the stairs if they really want to. Go on, Harry Potter. But anyway, I just kind of wanted to show the room. So we're going up the landings. We can go up further to the next floor, but they're all pretty much the same. I can open any of these doors, and these are the rooms that will be for rent. It's not too bad. It's not teeny tiny. You've got quite a lot of room to put some deco in there. You can put a bed in there and bookcases, or you could probably even get a workstation or two in there if you really wanted to. Living in my POT, you're really close to the expert or the benefactor slash founder one, so that's going to bump your skills rather than crafting in your room alone. But if you want to hole up in your room alone, you can. Anyway, this is the Viking one, and I think it's got a really great amount of space and quite a lot of rooms for rent. Now, some people are probably thinking, yeah, I'll get one of these and I'll charge them, whatever they're going to charge people, and yeah, I'll make bank. That's not our plan here. Our plan here is, again, we want foot traffic, we want community, and we want people to hang out. So whatever the minimum amount of rent is that can be charged, that's what we're going to be charging here, for the stuff here. I will probably put in a little basement in here, which will allow some more rooms to be rented with a few more common areas, based on the basement design that I plan to put there. So hey, this is why it's a self-serving video, and I couldn't just do it all about giving tips and tutorials. I'm saying, hey, Diamond Fields, great place to live. Done videos on it. Pretty soon we got to update ours because the town's grown quite a lot. But this is where the end's going to be. This is the zone end, and it's right there. So yeah, we'll be renting those out, and whatever the minimum is, I'm not looking to make any money. I'm looking to provide you a place to live, shop, grow, hang with the community, and stuff like that. And that's in Diamond Fields. It's almost like, I don't know, I guess it's been, oh my goodness, 3 years now. When I first got into this game, I was lost for a long time, and then I started reading the forums, and I found some information about music and putting music into the game. And I'd mess with that in, what was it, Arcade or something like that. But the problem with Arcade is you had to go and farm all these mats, and then just to make one sheet of paper, and the sheet of paper could only hold 15 notes or something stupid. So to really get any song to play in that game, it was going to take years, and it was really disheartening. But I did mess around with it a little bit. Well, then in this game, they didn't put a level constraint on making paper and then playing music. So you didn't have two sets of skills to go through just to be able to play music. Because, that's part of the social interaction in an RPG, is maybe sharing a song, or instead of giving a wave, give a little, toot on your horn, or whatever you've got going on, and stuff. So I spent probably 3 or 4 months messing around with music and stuff, and I think it was like one of my first videos in my playlist. It's probably not. It's probably a very poor video, and I'm actually gonna have to go and revisit and watch my own video to remember how I was doing everything, and that was converting a MIDI to an ABC file and stuff. But what I did finally do is I went back through all those pieces of music that I had, rearranged and reconverted, and you have to strip down a lot from a MIDI to get it into ABC. You got to remove a lot of instruments. You got to remove a lot of tracks. You've got to change gosh, see, I have no music in me at all. I guess, I don't know, what is it, the tone? I want some things higher than other things lower. You have to mess around with a lot of stuff to do it. And I spent a ton of time when I was first getting into this game doing that. But I had never shared my music because, really I'd have to email the file. Here's my ABC file or my MML file that I created and stuff. Well, a while back, they allowed us to create sheet music. Sheet music's basically created from 8 pieces of pulp, 5 cotton threads. So you've got to refine cotton into thread. And then, this is the big one that just kills me, is taking wood scrap and turning it to pulp. Oh, good Lord. To open this music shop, I probably spent 4 to 6 hours just to produce about 160 pieces of sheet music. And then I had to, and part of that was, then I had to go back to my ABC files and do the import. And I'm going to show you how to do that in a moment. But first, I just want to say, it's finally here. It's not fully decorated, but I do have a music emporium. And there's several around the world. I think, gosh, what's his name? From New Britannia Mining Company. Zeke. Yeah, bleh. Totally drawing a blank. I think Zeke has one in Owl's Head. And he's going to have certain pieces of music that, he's worked on and converted or played out or done whatever he did to create the sheet music. Sometimes I can get stuff from the internet and get it in an ABC format, and sometimes people will. Sometimes you go through the huge process of taking it from MIDI to MML and reducing tracks or changing tracks and changing things up in them to get it to kind of, sound good. So some of the ones that I did are that painstaking, and some I might have just gotten off the internet. And what I did is, I put them on my vendor, and I asked a few folks. I kind of polled them. I said, knowing that I had to spend the time doing this, and knowing that it takes 8 pulp, which is a pain in the butt, and 5 cotton thread. So it's taking resources plus the wax to make the thread, and the pulp doesn't take any fuel and stuff. What's a fair price? So I settled on 1,000. I don't know what other people are charging. I know there's other music emporiums, and so right now I'm trying to stock two of each to see what might be popular, what might not be popular. This could be a huge fail. Who knows? But anyway, I think I've got 75, 80 songs in there and stuff. And then I've got all the instruments and clothes and stuff. I've even put a grand piano, which are much larger quantities of mats to make, harps and everything. So you can get all your musical instruments here, and then also you can scroll through the music and see what I have for sale. So again, this is part of the self-serving part of the video. And then in addition, I try to make it look like a little bit of a music shop with lots of instruments on the walls. The deco's not finished. This is used in an ornate greenhouse, which has those great windows where you can look out into the world and stuff. So depending on where your location is, wow, I just thought this was a great place to have a music room in each little section. Is like, to me it was like a artist nook where they could go and play. We have a little tiny bar, again a little artist nook where artists can go and play. And then the upcoming plans, and now we get back to the non-self-serving part, is to have an area where once a month, and many guilds have done this, we're not the first or anything, is, maybe we want to invite people from across the world to come out, play their music, test it out. It could be original music, it could be, modern day music that they've gotten into, game format and the ABC or MML format and stuff, and create a little seating area. Again, I still have some more deco to do and stuff, but the thought again is, once a month, have a little community get together for those that are interested in music. Not new, just my initiation, not an initiation, but my interpretation and my version of doing something that many have done for many years in the game, but this is mine. It's just in a little tiny row house. Now, here's the cool thing is, and this goes back into tips and tricks. Remember, some of you folks may not be familiar or understand what magic movers are. So right now, this is set up as a music emporium. I can save this basically as a template, exactly with the deco, how it is. And then if I wanted to also make this a bistro, because we're going to have a cooking event or some kind of RP for cooking or something, I could, save this template, redecorate it for the cooking thing, save that template, and switch it back and forth. So this could be a bistro most of the month, and then once a month for the concerts, it could be something else. And this is something everybody can do in the game. You don't need to own 5 pieces of property. You only need to own 1 piece of property and decorate it 5 different ways. So this brings us into our next segment, something I haven't really covered, and that's the magic mover slot. When you have a piece of property and stuff, you can redecorate it. I don't know, just off the top of my head what the charts are, how many slots you get and stuff, but I know you can buy more magic mover slots with Kodos. Again, not pay to win, because you can get Kodos. There's tons of vendors all over the world, player vendors, selling Kodos. You can see it on the forums, on the trading forums, the official game trading forums. You can go shop around and stuff, and you can buy additional magic mover slots. I think each housing lot size has a default value, and you can get additional ones. And then some of the bundles says, comes with X number of additional magic mover slots and stuff. But keep in mind on the magic movers and stuff, if I keep redoing my same house, it's not going to cost me Kodos to do it. But if I take this house, the same exact house, and try to place it in another POT or NPC town or wherever, if I move it from zone to zone, there is a cost incurred every time I change it. But if I just keep changing it here from my slots that I already quote unquote own, there's no Kodo cost. So I can keep rotating the deco in a home that I own. And it's not just a row house or a village, or it could even be a castle lot. But oh my god, having 2 sets of deco for that, oof. The one caveat to keep in mind is your vendor goes away and goes to the bank, and everything that was on him or her. Hopefully someday we'll have female vendors because I'm so sick of these guys. But anyway, um, hopefully what happens later is second saying bye. Um, Everything that's on the vendor goes to the bank. So that could be a pain in the butt for me. I said I'd listed 160 songs or something. Something like that, 150, 160 songs on there, repricing everything. Wow, that's going to take a long time. So if you don't have a vendor, that's going to be good. If you do have a vendor, you have to keep repricing it every time you change the house out from your Magic Mover slot. So, yeah, ouch. Real quick, I think one thing I did not make clear is, again, it has to be the same house. You can't change houses and expect your deco to appear magically in a different house design because obviously it's a different house design, so things aren't going to fit. It has to be the same house that you are applying the new magic mover to. And again, I think I might have misspoken when I said, or didn't say it clearly, is that yes, I can move this deco to a new zone, and I will incur a codo fee, and that codo fee is going to be based on the size of my lot. So a row house obviously is going to cost me less codos to move to a new zone than say a castle lot is going to cost me far more codos to move it, and that's only from zone to zone. If you stay within the zone, no cost charge. So it's like, let's say you have a POT owner and you have a lot down, your village lot's here, and he says, "Hey, I kind of need to move your lot. Can you do a magic mover?" Well, you'll do the magic mover, pick your lot up, unclaim it. He'll move the plot on in the POT, or she. He'll move it around, replace the lot marker. Then you just go back, reclaim it, and then boom, upload your magic mover, and your house is redecorated. So it makes adjustments for POT owners very less painful. Now, the only thing I'm not positive on, let's say your POT is zoned as I don't know, an island, and your POT owner wants to change it to mountain. Okay, well, everybody has to, is going to lose their lot claiming because he's going to have to replace new position markers down. But I do believe that when you go and claim a new village lot and you had an old village lot, and you put the same house up, hopefully it doesn't cost you kodos. I've not tested that. And yeah, I'm not going to be changing our POT to test that out. Maybe somebody else can answer that on the forums or something if you have a question about that. But anyway, I just kind of want to go over that. I guess the next thing is let's talk about how I was getting the music and doing the sheet music and stuff. So the basic way is I'm going to hit I for inventory. I'm going to go find a blank sheet of music, and I'm going to hit enter, and I can import the text. Now it's going to import where I've stored my ABC files, and it has a default location, and you can't change that. I'm going to bring up where that location is. I'm not going to do it live because I don't really want to show certain information on what my username is and all that happy nonsense. But I would hit import text, and it's going to point to a certain directory. Let me bring up that screen. So basically, for anybody that's ever tried to find their chat logs, it's going to be pretty close to the same location. It's still going to be in your C users, whatever your username. And again, this is for Windows folks. App data, roaming, Portalarium, Shroud the Avatar, sheet music. If you were looking for your chat logs, it would be the same thing, but instead of sheet music, the upper directory would be chat logs. And a lot of people say, well, how do I know my adventure level? Well, that's going to the chat logs folder and then opening up your most recent file for that, where you have typed in game /stats. But again, back to the music. So this is where my import folder will be, and it will show me a listing of this directory. I don't think it's going to show my subs like this needs work one, where I've moved some items to there because I need to rearrange some more things on them. But I will literally see this list in game from that window I showed you after I clicked import text, and there's a refresh button, and then I can select which item I want, and I can give it a title, just like when I showed you the sheet music I had for sale. So that's how it's going to go. You can. It doesn't have to be whatever I call it. Like this, I called 007 Good. What I called it on my sheet music that I actually published, I called it the theme from James Bond. And the reason this one says 007 Good is because I obviously went through a few versions where I was tweaking it till I got a good version of it. But again, that's C users, your username, app data, roaming, portalarium, Shroud of the Avatar, sheet music. For Windows users, you can also hit the Windows button and type percent, which is above your 5 key on your keyboard, app data, percent, and it should open that folder for you. And then you only have to go to roaming, portalarium, find Shadow of the Avatar, sheet music. So any ABC file that you've created, you should save there. And that means in game, I can do a couple things. I don't have to have sheet music to play music. I can type \play 007 good, and it's going to play in game. Or I can create sheet music, which I can then trade to other players without having to send them the files and email them the files and all that nonsense. Um, that works as well. So I can type \play, title exactly how it is, however you've saved it in your sheet music folder, or I create the sheet music, give it a more meaningful title, and I've been doing mine kind of with artist dash title. There's only so many characters, but you can get a pretty good description of the song in there. And that you can trade and sell. You cannot make a copy of sheet music from game on the printing press or anything like that. And that basically protects the rights of the people that have done the work to make the ABC files or copied them from the internet. They may have gone through some of the steps that I do with my, MIDI to ABC/MML conversion, or they may have just downloaded them. I'm not gonna knock anybody because they got it from anywhere. Because Lord of the Rings was big on ABC files, and there's been some other games that have had them. So there's plenty of them out there to get. Just some of them you're not going to find, and you're going to have to do a little bit of labor to get them. Anyway, so this is basically where you need to store them to do \play, and you don't have to do .abc. I just do \play 007 good, and have an instrument equipped or be sitting at the piano or harpsichord or harp or whatever. So I hope that gives you some insight into what goes on with import text. You're going to see that same directory just like we just showed, and you can pick which file, and you get to pick a title name up here, and you'll hit a publish button. You'll get a confirmation. Are you sure you want to publish? Because once you publish to this blank music sheet, you cannot change it. You can't change a note. So it's gone. Pretty much the same as you do a bulletin board flyer, or a sheet of paper, or a book. I've got a few copies of different ones on me. Anyway, that should give you some more insight into music playing and why I was big on trying to open up my own little music shop here. I don't expect to get rich from it, but I expect it to be an outlet for some diverse players that are looking for something that maybe they don't have. Some players may trade things one-on-one, say, hey, I'll swap you sheet music for sheet music, and that's fine too. For me, it was just a place to do concerts, and it felt like it needed to have some kind of vendor that's selling instruments for sure, and some of the stuff that I did. Oh, you know what? I forgot to do one thing. Yeah, hold on 1 second. Let me run back this way. Sorry, it's gonna take a few more seconds, because the very first piece of music that I ever converted from MIDI to sheet music in the game, or an ABC file in the game, it took me a lot of work to segregate some of the instruments that were involved in the MIDI file that I started with. And I'd found versions of this song on the internet, but they just weren't right. And of course, it's going to be Pat Benatar. Some of the ones that I've worked on, I'm going to go back and retouch. There's most of the ones that I've released, I'm going to say I'm 90% good with. There's a few I'll probably rework, but this one, I don't think I need any rework with it. It just really was exactly what I wanted and stuff. And so I'm going to demonstrate. I don't have the sheet music on me. I'm going to type play Heartbreaker. Again, has to be Pat Benatar, of course, is the first one that I did. Hopefully that's the right spelling. Let's see. If not, I'll have to pause and see if I called it something different. But this one, I just Neil Giraldo, Pat Benatar's husband, who does a lot of the composing, arranging. He does producing for other people. He was one of the guys that wrote Jesse's Girl for Rick Springfield. He's done a million things. I have a BC Rich signature Neil Giraldo signature guitar signed by Neil Giraldo and of course Pat Benatar that he personally strung for me. How many people say that they have the guitar? Sure, everybody gets a guitar signed, but did the guy string it for you? Oh yeah. I'm sorry. Just my little geeking out there on that. Let's see if hopefully this works. I'm not going to play the whole thing for you, but let's see. So we get a better camera angle. Here we go. Anyway, yeah, I think it took me 2 days to get that exactly the way I wanted it to sound in game. Because, hearing it just in a MIDI player or an ABC player or something like that, it's just different. And finding the right instrument, I knew immediately. It was before we had the grand piano, way before we had it. We just had the regular pianos in the game that were like, I think I started playing it in Soul Town, just on the piano in the bar there in Soul Town is where I was practicing it and changing it and tweaking it because what I could hear on the computer was different from what I was hearing in game sound, and I know I spent like 2 days tweaking the hell out of this thing and stuff. So it's probably my most favorite piece of music that I've done because I really spent a ton of time on it. Some of the other ones probably need a little work. I found some sour keys here and stuff from how the MIDI translates and stuff. But this one, I think I just repolished about 50 times over the course of several days. And yeah, thank you, Pat Benatar. Thank you, Neil Giraldo. Thank you, Diamond Fields, being named after a Pat Benatar song. Take care, everybody. Happy hunting and be safe.